Hey, ambitious dentist, welcome to Start Your Dental Practice, the show for existing and aspiring dentists to take your dental practice to the highest possible level. I'm your host, Jonathan Van Horn, CPA and ABV, founder of dentistmetrics.com. In every episode, we aim to demystify the how to start a dental practice problem by bringing on world-class dentists, influencers, and consultants in the dental industry to pick their brain about how to get past the barriers involved from going from no practice to being a practice owner to owning your own successful dental practice. The one thing that separates the just okay dental practices from the top performing dental practices is a great front desk. Now, it's not the end all be all, but it is absolutely critical to get the front desk right in order to be able to have the maximum amount of patients come through and receive the maximum amount of production. Unfortunately, it's just not easy to get this right. New employees come and go, and then the training in the front is usually pretty neglected. There's a million things that need your immediate attention, so you don't really have time to be training someone in the front that often. But the reality is, your front desk is often the life of the practice. It's the first touch point for both new and old patients. And so today's guest has mastered the art of front desk training and has helped hundreds of practices improve their bottom line through intensive online front desk training. Laura Hatch is the founder of Front Office Rocks, an online education training program designed to help dental practices train their front desk staff. With over 180 videos, it's one of the go-to resources if you're looking to train your front desk staff. First, here are a few things you're going to hear about. The one thing you should never say when answering the phone, why most dental practices fail with customer service, and how to make sure you don't. The secret to having great staff meetings, how open door communication can make or break your dental practice, the importance of instilling an always be improving mindset for your team, how to reduce resistance when implementing new procedures or training, the biggest mistake most front offices make and how to fix it, why your numbers shouldn't always be your main focus. And at the end of the episode, you'll find out where you can get something that Laura calls the New Patient Flow Guide. So be sure to listen all the way through this entire interview to hear what that is and where to access. Now here's my interview with Laura Hatch. Hello, ambitious dentists. Today I have with us Laura Hatch. Laura is the founder and creator of Front Office Rocks, which is a genius resource for you guys out there. So this is a resource. Let me paint the picture for you. You have an office manager, or you bought a practice and it has an office manager. She's 75 years old, and she's been with the doctor since they started the practice. Whenever the doctor leaves, your office manager leaves along with her. All of a sudden, you have no one in your practice that knows how to be an office manager or even really how to run the front desk. What do you do? In the past, you'd have to hire a consultant or learn all this stuff yourself. What Laura's created is a really, really cool resource, training videos for the front office. And I'll tell you guys a little secret. A lot of the times when you get the new person in, if you get a consultant in and you train someone, what happens whenever that office manager leaves you in 6 months? You got to do the process all over again. So this is all online. It's all digital. I think it's a really great product that everybody should go and check out. So Laura, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Well, very cool. I got to know, how did Front Office Rocks come about?
So Front Office Rocks started way back when, before I even thought about it, I guess. My husband's a dentist. He graduated from the University of Maryland Dental School, and I opened a scratch practice with him in 2003 in Baltimore, Maryland. Now, I have a background in training. I have a degree in organizational development, human resources. So I have management, marketing, training experience. But I knew nothing about dentistry. I mean, I didn't know teeth had numbers. And I remember seeing the ADA codes thinking, oh my gosh, I need to know all these codes. I mean, and there was really no resource for me when I got started. I just kind of got thrown into it and had to figure it out. I went and saw Linda Miles and all the great speakers, and all I really knew was customer service and management and team building and sales and the business side. I just didn't know the dentistry. So my husband and I have since started 2 scratch practices. We now live in San Diego, California. And over the years, I've been asked, because we've had 2 very successful practices. I've been asked the same questions over and over again. And people want me to come in and consult and come in and help their team. And And so I came up with the idea with Front Office Rocks a couple of years ago because I knew there was a missing resource for dental teams. I mean, I know that doctors, I was married to my husband all through dental school. They don't teach anything about the business side of it. They don't teach the front office. You buy a practice, you start a practice, and then you kind of rely on your team to know what they're doing. And it's really, there's not a lot of resources out there for us up front to help us improve in our job. So I started Front Office Rocks with the idea to help doctors and their teams improve in the area, all the areas up front, for everything from answering the phones to scheduling productively, to getting a patient to pay, to handling insurance issues, to managing a team, everything that has to do with the front desk. And I wanted it to be a resource that's easy to use, inexpensive, can be used as you need it, as many times as you need it. And so that's kind of the idea about Front Office Rocks, was to have something that teams could go to, or even doctors could go to if they think they need to know, what the staff should be doing up front. And they can do it, 24/7 at their desk, at the front desk in their office. They don't have to leave, bring in a consultant, go to a training seminar. So that's kind of how Front Office Rocks got started.
That's a great story. It's an age-old question in this industry that a lot of people seem to think that really, really high-priced consultants are the only answer to.
Well, and I think the other thing too is that training has never been a strong suit in dental offices. I mean, a lot of times somebody comes in and you just get trained by the person who did it before you, and that doesn't mean they're necessarily good at that task and or good at training. And so we sort of get thrown to the wolves. And I feel that doctors feel that they have to hire people with 2 years of Dentrix experience or EagleSoft experience, and they have to know dentistry. Well, you really don't. I mean, when it comes to the front desk, I'm not talking about hygienists or assistants, but for the front desk, we can be taught the dentistry. We can be taught the codes and the teeth, but you can't teach people good personality and great customer service. And so I feel that this could be a resource for doctors so they don't feel like they have to just hire somebody with dental experience. If you've got somebody great that has the right personality, the right work ethic, let's just teach them what they need to know when it comes to the dental office.
So the practices that are utilizing this really great resource, what are the ones that are having the most success that you've found?
There's multiple different, I have so many different clients now using it so many different ways. So some of them, the ones that jump in, feet first all the way, are the ones, of course, doing the best. I mean, a lot of offices have been doing it like in a huddle as a team, where they all watch a video or two, like maybe once a week, and then that's the focus of the week. So that way everyone's, getting training and working on whatever area it is that they've trained on. Other ones are allotting time, so they pull their staff off their post or off their position, out of their area for half an hour. I mean, the videos are all, no longer than 10 or 12 minutes. So an employee can sit down and watch 2 or 3 videos. There's quizzes at the end to make sure that they're understanding what they get. But they pull them away from their job and invest in them by training them. So that's been very successful for a lot of offices. A lot of doctors, new doctors who are coming out of dental school buying practices, are using the videos themselves to learn more about what they should be expecting from their front office team. Because I think what happens a lot of times is the doctor comes up to the team and says, fill my schedule tomorrow. And then they go in the back and they cross their fingers and hope that the staff knows what they're doing. And then the team sitting there, or the employee at the front desk, going, how am I supposed to do that? So they're kind of using it as a way to, bridge that gap between what they're expecting and then what their team's supposed to be doing to get the ultimate result that they want.
So tell me about, as far as, uniting that front office. A lot of the times in the past, when I've been helping coaching clients and we pull the office manager in for discussion, it never fails that the person always says, oh yeah, we do that. Or yeah, we're really good at that. Or, we've always done it that way, as an excuse. How do you think is the best way for dentists to approach the conversation with their staff that they need training?
Yeah. Well, I hear this a lot too. And I think the difference with my training, which really helps, is a lot of people aren't good with change and they don't like to be challenged. They don't like critiques. And so that's why you get that's what we do. And I've always done it that way. So my training is less intrusive. My training is not me standing over you saying, you're doing this wrong. This is how you should be doing it. My training is a way that they can go and be willing to sit and go, all right, well, what does she do in her office? How does she make it successful in her office? Because I'm a day-to-day office manager, I mean, I know what it's like to be at the front desk. You know, I understand what we should be doing, but I also understand the reality of you got 4 people standing in front of you and you got the phone ringing, and how do we actually make it work? So because I'm a real office manager and I show real examples, I think that the training, it's a lot less intrusive for employees who feel maybe they already know it all. And it opens up their eyes, hopefully, to, oh, maybe there's a better way we can be doing some of this. One of the functions that I have on the website, there's actually a search option where you can search a topic. So maybe your issue is about confirmation calls. We've had a lot of cancellations lately. So you go search confirmation calls, and then you get a whole list of either articles I've written or blogs or the videos you can watch, which can help tailor the training for someone who kind of already knows it all to maybe let's just work on this one issue. How can we fix this one area? And once the team starts to see that they're doing better in that area, they're probably going to be more open to saying, okay, let me hear some more of this training. The one thing I would suggest is for the doctor not to go, here you go, you have to do this training, bye, I'm going, back to my desk. It's really
time for golf.
What's that?
It's time for golf.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, honestly, as an office manager and employee myself, I mean, these doctors, I'm not saying these doctors go to meetings and they come back and they get the new shiny tool. They got the new thing and we're like, oh my gosh, something else we have to implement, So if you really want to see changes in your team or improvements, to work hand in hand with them, to sit down. And I have an office that's doing really well. What they're doing is they're letting the employees pick the subject of the week. So each person will pick 1 or 2 subjects so that they are buying into the whole concept of this week we want to work on productive scheduling. And then they're watching certain videos and meeting as a team, kind of like a book club. So it's really getting their buy-in to start making changes.
I love that. One of the key mindsets I try and get into my doctors is that we have to be a practice of constant reevaluation, constant improvement, because we can always be better. And so if you have a mindset and you have a philosophy around that, then your employees and your staff have no reason not to do the things that you're trying to improve over time. And if you're innovative, you got to be innovative. You've got to stay on top of technology. There's all these things you got to do anyways. So why not make sure that you're doing things better every day?
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. And the thing is, the one thing we don't have enough time or enough at the front desk or in the dental office is time. We just, to take time away to go to a whole class for a day or two, or to shut down the office for, to bring in somebody to train the team. There's just not enough time in the day. So the more you can make it easy and make it helpful and have the team see the results from it, the more you're going to get buy-in from your team, and it's going to improve you and your practice.
100%. Absolutely. So we have a lot of doctors that listen to this podcast that are dental students, people that are acquiring a practice, people that are starting a practice, as well as people who have become a practice owner in the not so recent past. So it's people that are coming in kind of as newbies to this whole business ownership thing. I want to kind of talk about each of those people differently. Dental students, they're just going to have to wait their turn, but people that are starting a practice from scratch, a lot of the times they'll have someone in the front. It's just like they're do it all in the front, and then they'll have an assistant in the back. They'll do their own hygiene when they're in the startup practice. Is this something that would be a good resource for them to be able to utilize?
Completely. In fact, that was kind of the main concept behind it, is taking a new employer, a new practice, and saying, okay, sit in front of these videos and these are going to help you figure out. I break them into literally like in such small chunks that they're very easily to comprehend. Confirmation calls, what's the purpose behind them? Okay, great. Now, after that, when somebody says, well, I think I'll be there. Okay, how do you handle the patients that aren't really confirmed? And how do we implement technology into our confirmation calls? And so that way you can kind of handhold. Like I said, my background's in training. And so there's a certain process to make sure somebody understands, each step of their job. And the other thing that's great with this is you can cross-train. So a lot of small dental offices, there's one person at the front desk, but the assistant might have some time to help out. Well, cross-train the dental assistant. how to answer the phones, how to make recare calls, how to do insurance calls, so that way your dental assistant can support whoever it is at the front desk. So this is, or as you're building your team, the three of you sit down and watch videos of how to have a great morning huddle. I have one on huddles, or how to have a great staff meeting and the parts of that. So there's so many different, and it's one price for you to train as many people as you want, as many times as you want. So it's set up so that anyone brand new, not making any money yet, can afford to do the training. You get the return on investment.
I love it. Yeah. And like I said, the doctors, I have tried my darndest to be able to be good at these practice management softwares for my clients. And I'm like, really, I mean, a lot of people like to tip their own hat. I am pretty good at software. Yeah. And I can't figure these things out for the life of me. Like I'm like an Eskimo wandering around the desert in that place. Like I have no idea what's going on. So, the fact that you can be able to help people and the doctors early on, because in the beginning you usually have more time than money. So that's a perfect time to be investing in learning the right ways to do things, because once you know how to do them yourself, guess what? That means that you'll be able to tell if other people are doing a good job or not.
Exactly. Yeah. The other thing, my husband and I own a practice in San Diego, and we're a fee-for-service office. And so, not that I'm saying you have to be fee-for-service, but I feel that patients expect, whether you're fee-for-service or not, patients are expecting more out of us than they ever have before. They're not judging us on our dentistry. They're judging us on how they answered the phone, and how was I greeted when I walked in the door, and how did the consultation go. This is where patients are deciding if they're going to get their dentistry done in our office or not. So from that very first year you're open, setting up your practice the right way with the right level of customer service, having your staff trained the right way to be able to handle the calls and schedule patients, and then kind of establishing that culture, that environment where this is what's expected in our office, versus waiting till later and having to go back and fix things that aren't necessarily the way you want them. It's better to do it the right way from the beginning.
So let's move on to the other people that are listening to this. Those are the ones that are acquiring a practice that already have an infrastructure and set in place. What is the best way in your mind, as an office manager who's as experienced being in a practice, as well as your husband being a dentist and starting practices and being a part of that world? What's the best way for that new dentist to be able to introduce himself to the team, and then in a non jerk way tell the team, like, hey, I just want to make sure that we're really great at everything that we do.
Yeah.
So as a resource, we're going to have something like Front Office Rocks help us with that training.
Yeah. And again, it's very similar to having the employee that's been there for a long time. Most doctors who buy a practice get the employees, get the culture, get the team, and it's always been done this way. And I was in a friend's office recently, and they answered the phones, how may I direct your call? Well, when you're calling a dental office, nobody's really directing your call anywhere. How can I help you would be much more appropriate. So I asked them, why do you guys say, where do I direct your call, or how do I direct your call? And they're like, I don't know, we've always just said it that way. And I'm like, well, do you ever direct their call anywhere? Or do you just handle their question? They're like, oh yeah. So some of it is when you're going in as a doctor taking over the practice, there's going to be some changes that need to be made. But again, if you come in with the hammer or standing over their desk saying, change the way you're doing it, you're going to get a lot of pushback. So having something like this where you can introduce ideas, and because I'm an office manager who's done this for so long, as the doctor, you might come in and introduce an idea and the staff will say, no, you don't know. Trust us. We know what we're doing. We've got this. But if you bring in a resource like mine, then they're hearing it from somebody who understands what goes on the front desk. And I not only train what to do, but I train the reason why. Why is it important that we do confirmation calls? Why is it important we call on overdue recare reports and get our patients in? So I train the team on why. So my thought would be somebody buying a practice, in order to make the change, I would invest in Front Office Rocks, watch some of the videos yourself so you know what message you want to get across to the staff, and then start to introduce the idea to the staff of watching the videos, and maybe say, listen, here, if you watch this video, like, I think we should be doing it this way, you think we should be doing it this way, why don't we agree to watch the video or a couple of videos about that topic, and then let's sit down and have a conversation about it. Let's decide together what we should be doing in the practice. The number one thing that I can suggest for doctors is open door communication. Getting with your staff, having a communication with them, being accessible to them. And they didn't really teach that in dental school. They didn't teach you how to be an owner. They didn't teach you how to be a manager and how to grow a practice and deal with a staff. And so the more that you can go in with an open door with this resource, with the training and the knowledge, the less resistance, hopefully, you're going to get from the team that's already there.
Very good. Very good advice. So I guess for the people that have owned the practice for a while and they've never introduced that culture of being better or self-improvement or anything like that, it'd kind of be the same way for them then, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think for someone that's already been in practice, and if you're getting any sort of resistance to doing some sort of training like this, instead of looking at the training like a check sheet, there's over 180 videos on this website, and I'm always adding new videos all the time as things come up, people ask questions. So if you handed to me here, you have to watch 180 videos, I think I would be resistant. I have too much going on at the front desk. Mm-hmm. But if you come to the team and say, hey, here's some areas we'd like to improve upon. Like maybe we can get better at, our AR and getting patients to pay, or maybe we can be better at case acceptance, and start to use the website or the training specific to the needs of you and your team. Like reach out to them and say, what do you guys think we can improve upon? What do you think we could be doing better? And then use the training according to what's needed in your office. And that's kind of the idea behind it. As you improve one area, maybe another area starts to shine that needs some attention. And so then you work on training in that area and kind of use it to always continually be improving your practice.
So from your perspective right now, what do you find being the area that the majority of practices need help with? And I know it's like there's a million different things on the list that we could probably pick out that everybody needs help with, because it's not always like people will talk to me and they'll say, I'm having problems with my revenue, and I'm having problems with my collections, or I'm having problems with my overhead. And we drill it down. It's like, it's not just because you have like one problem. It's really because you have like 30 problems that you haven't, addressed. And fixing just one of those, there's like, I tell a lot of people in this industry, there's not a magic bullet. There never has been. There never will be. No matter who tries to sell you anything, there's never a magic bullet. It's a lot of hard work and good, strong work too. So, but from your perspective, where do a lot of the front offices, where do they falter? What is it right now that people are having the most amount of problems and trouble with?
Well, I think there's two answers to that. There's a small answer and then a larger answer. I would say my first go-to answer is the telephones. I do not think that our staff is trained well, typically, on answering the phones. I just did a little social media video about this recently, because I said, what do you think the number one piece of technology is in the dental office? Most dentists would say their CEREC or their intraoral camera or their 3D cone beam scanner. It's the telephone. If the telephone's not ringing and you're not handling the calls right, you're not going to have a lot of patients to use the CEREC on. So I'm huge on making sure your team is trained well on the telephones. And unfortunately, in the dental office, what typically happens is we hire a new employee that's we don't even know if they're going to make it, and we try them out on the phones. Well, we don't even know if this employee is any good, this new employee, and we're spending thousands of dollars on marketing, and this potential new patient calls in, and the employee doesn't know how to handle the call. So telephones to me are a number one. And there's other companies out there that teach phone skills and how to handle the phones. I think that it's so vital that you teach your team how to be good on the phones, and how to handle the calls. Now, I'm not a script person. I don't teach scripts in my videos. I believe that scripts don't work because people know on the other end of the phone that they're getting a script. Mm-hmm. And so I teach the team more about the why. Why is it important that one of my big things is don't ask insurance number one question or number two question, because you're already setting up this idea that insurance is important with the patient on that very first phone call. And not that we don't want to know insurance and we want to verify it, but ask it later in the appointment. Let's find out who's on the phone. Let's set ourselves apart by getting to know the person calling in, and then we'll handle the insurance question. So that's kind of that was my short answer. My other one overall would just be customer service. And that's the remainder of the training that I teach. Everything I teach has to do with the customer service behind all the tasks that we do. People have more expectations from their dental offices than ever before. People have more areas they need to spend their money, right? They have to decide, am I paying for a crown or am I paying for, my tires on my car? So they're trying to decide if they're going to spend the money in our office at case acceptance and getting the treatment that we're recommending. And so everything that we do at the front desk makes a difference on whether or not that patient decides to do dentistry in our office. Everything from the way we answer or that we offer an appointment, to the way we do case presentations, to the way that we confirm the appointment, every step matters to help that patient decide to get their treatment done in our office. And ultimately, and we want to make sure that we're doing this because we want to help the patients. We're healthcare providers. It's not about the numbers. Granted, we have to make money at the end of the day, but it's about taking care of our patients and making sure that they see a value in us and in keeping themselves healthy in their teeth. So I think we miss a lot of that in the dental office. We have the sign in, we'll be with you in a minute, and patient sits in the reception area, nobody pays attention to them, and the staff's whispering and gossiping. All of that plays into whether or not the patient's going to get their dentistry done in our office. And I think that's what's missing in most dental offices. They miss that concept of great customer service through every step of the way.
I see a lot of doctors just trying to internally think of it as like just a medical exam. Like it's not an experience. It's not it's not a luxury. It's just them coming in to have a diagnosis prepared and then completed.
Yeah.
And it's like it loses so much of of what you're just saying, because in this world right now, everything even just attention is fleeting at this point.
Yeah.
And with that goes loyalty and all the things that are happening, because everything's moving so fast nowadays with technology and advertisements. I know there was, some people say that we were advertised to like 1,000 times a day, and it's almost all subliminally nowadays.
Right.
And so like people get so just accustomed just to being sold all the time that makes, number one, if people are getting sold all the time, people have a higher opportunity to leave because they have more people trying to get them. Number two is it makes your attention span shorter because you're not paying attention to one thing for as long, which they'll say studies are saying that loyalty just in general between service providers and things like that is still fleeting. Now, luckily enough, medical providers typically do have a very good but they have a lot of ability to keep their patients as long as, and what I've seen in the past, as long as number one, they do a good job, and number two, they make sure that the patient knows it's important to come back.
Exactly. Well, and the other thing too is we have to think about this and you're the numbers guy, so I'm sure you have numbers on this, that the amount of money it costs and effort it costs to get a new patient. And a lot of doctors are focused on more new patients. And I think patients are important, don't get me wrong, but keeping our patients, once they're in the practice, it costs us very little to keep that patient in the practice. And like you said, I know in my house alone, I get 5 or 6 different dentists who are sending postcards and mailers and stuff to my house. Our patients in that 6-month span, when they're not in your office, they're getting hit all the time with the potential to be able to go to someone else's office. And so we have to, from the newsletters we send and the confirmation emails and the calls and everything we do, it needs to be at that next level so the patient remembers why they come to us. One of my big things is we give an hour for hygiene in my office, and some doctors are looking to try to strengthen, make it shorter and shorter and assisted hygiene. And we're only seeing our clients sometimes twice a year. Mm-hmm. And in that time, the doctor's only in there 10 minutes, right? So you're only seeing your clients 20 minutes. They're only in our office 2 hours out of the year. We need to think about that every time they're in. It's our time to remind them again how great we are and how amazing this dental office is and why they come to us. Because if we're not reminding them that and we're trying to rush them through and more about the numbers and the bottom line, then the patient's going to go somewhere else, or minimally they're just not going to refer to us. They're going to just, not think about sending people our way. We need to make sure that we're prioritizing that through the entire relationship with our patient from beginning to end.
Absolutely. And how do you get started with introducing that? Because that's a wider issue than just making sure we answer the phones well. How do you, and I tell a lot of people that I feel like this is more than just a one-time conversation, but how do you get that introduced to a team?
Well, and in my videos, every single one of my videos, and I do 1-day trainings and I speak and everything, the biggest thing I think is missing, and I said this earlier, is the staff doesn't understand the why. Why is this important, right? So the first thing one of my first things that I talk about with my new employees and my teams and on my videos is that we have to think about what we do for a living. We sell drills and needles in patients' mouths, and they're going to pay us thousands of dollars, and nobody's ever going to see the work. And half the time it didn't hurt before you started. So we're not selling something people want. It would be weird for a patient to come in and be like, oh, I get a root canal today, I can't wait, right? It's just, we don't sell something fun, but we are their healthcare provider. We sell something, we give them something that's going to help them live longer and live a better life. And so when we understand that concept, then every little task that we do, it makes a difference, because our ultimate goal is to help our patients live longer and live a better life. And so then with every task, if I understand the why is it important to make sure I'm trying to get my patients in when they're overdue on their recare? Why is it important that we sit down and talk to the patients about their treatment and explain all their options to them? Why is it important that we handle the money with the patients before they come in and get the treatment? Well, the ultimate reason is so they'll show up, because if they don't show up, we're not going to be able to help our patients. So I would say it starts with really kind of recognizing what we do and what our patients think we do, right? And that they're not in line necessarily. And then why everything we do along the way, the ultimate goal is to help our patients. It's to help them get dentistry done, because we are their healthcare provider, and nobody else is looking out for this part of their, the mouth and their mouth body connection besides us. And so we need to take that seriously, and then understand every step along the way how we play into doing that for our patients.
So you're saying that it shouldn't be talking to your staff about we have to get to $2,500 an hour in production.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you should have goals. I mean, we have goals. We keep track of, amounts presented, amount accepted. We keep track of, and ultimately we're a business, and, you need to know your numbers. But when we look at presented and accepted and what our patients accept each day, it's all that is represents how many people we're helping. And if we're doing it just for the numbers and we don't understand the purpose behind it, then you're probably not hitting your goals, because you're going at it for the wrong reason.
Yeah, I get the misnomer of people thinking that because the name of my company is Dentist Metrics, that all I care about is the numbers and the revenue and the expenses. And guys, I'll tell you, the longer I do this, the more apparent it is that the numbers are results. I tell people all the time, the term is key performance indicator, and the most important word in there is performance.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get to a good KPI without really good performance.
Exactly.
And the performance is going to come from how good of employees you are, how well they're trained, and really how motivated they are.
Yeah. That's funny that you bring that up with the words and how much they matter. When I was trying to decide what to name my company, I could be front office trainers or administrative trainers but I named it Front Office Rocks, because the concept, our dental office is called Scripps Rock Dental, so it kind of flowed with that. But the idea is that we need to be rock stars, and the front office team really can be, and you make a huge difference in patients' lives. And you really need to have that performance. One of the things I talk about in dental offices, gossip and drama between team members is prevalent in so many offices, and that can just kill your practice. And when we walk in the door, you're going on stage. You need to leave your drama at the door. You leave your personal stuff at the door. You are performing, with the best interest of our patients. And that's what we're there for. It's not for the drama. It's not for the whispering and the back and forth. It's there to take care of our patients, and that is ultimately that. If you do that, the money will come.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And that's missed so much in today's consulting world. I feel like, even, we won't name names, but we talked about beforehand. We had, people that have had, massive drops because they were trying to lead their team based off of the numbers, And they had insane amounts of turnover. They had insane amounts of, unsatisfied employees that all hated the doctor because all they thought of was that they were the greedy doc.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
the
one of
doc,
the
the doc had the right idea. She had the right idea and knew what she was wanting to do and had the right thoughts about doing it, but she was being told to do it in a different way.
right. And I think there's great consultants out there. I've heard great things about you and everybody else. But the thing is that to me, that's at a higher level. And you need to be knowing your numbers. You need to have systems in place. You need to have a overall, like I said, they don't teach this in dental school. But when it comes down to the staff level, if the staff doesn't really buy into the same purpose you do, you're never going to grow the practice to where you want. So if the staff doesn't get why am I so important in this? And why does the way I do something make a difference? Then they're just doing tasks. They're just doing day-to-day jobs, and they're collecting their paycheck, and they're going home on Friday night and, forgetting about work. And that's not what you want. You want a team built with people who are going towards that same goal and have that same vision. In fact, we just did a thing in my office recently where the doctor talked about his purpose, the owner, and then every employee talked about their purpose, what their goal is in life for their patients. And to remind ourselves that we're all in line going the same direction. We're here to help grow our patients and help take care of our patients, grow our practice, and making sure we're on the same line, because sometimes the employee's not on the same track you are. And that's okay. That part of being a business owner is to recognize, we're not on the same page, and that's okay. You belong somewhere else, and we're moving on, and not holding on to people who aren't necessarily motivated towards the same goal that we are.
And yeah, it's a great factor that divides out the weak from the strong in any company culture, and this is one of those things, honestly, that, I'm a pretty pragmatic guy because I'm very numbers and oriented and results driven and all these other, A, B, yes, no, great, white, black worlds. And before I started, to really get into this, to the strategy behind everything, I kind of thought the whole, the culture and vision of things was a little bit flu, a little bit, just out there. It didn't really make much difference. But the longer that you're in it, the more that you see it, the more that you realize that's really where all the results will end up coming from. If you don't start from a good place, then you're going to end up in a bad place most of the time.
Yeah, that's funny. I just recently wrote an article about culture and about who sets the culture. And, you can set it the right way from the beginning, or you have to go back and clean it up. But ultimately, it's as the owner, it's, how much are you making sure the practice represents what you want it to represent? And how much are you making sure that your team is in line with you? And are you there really for the patients? And what's your ultimate goal, and where do you want to take the practice? And that all comes from, and again, dental school does a great job of teaching dentists how to be dentists. Thank goodness. Otherwise, we wouldn't have great dentists in the world. But there's that next step that's really missing. And so to learn, I use the word culture. My husband's like, what are you talking about? He thought it was like a science experiment or something. I'm like, no. It's actually the way our office feels and the way we come across to patients. And the fact that a business owner doesn't get that concept is really kind of like, all right, well, maybe we need to step back and say, all right, what do we want in our practice? And that's, like I said, I felt doctors didn't have a resource up to this point. And I feel like Front Office Rocks is a good starting point, at least for a lot of the offices that I meet, because I'm like, you have to start with training. You have to get your staff on the same team. And in all my videos, I always circle the team around back to the doctor and the office manager. And I say, go find out from your doctor what they would like you to do to handle this situation, with the idea that it's starting to open up communication between the employee and the doctor. So the doctor can actually say, oh, well, this is actually how I'd like you to handle in my office. But they don't know what to tell the staff at this point. That's why this communication and training is so important.
I love it. Thank you for putting this resource out there and allowing people to have a place to go that is, very hands-on. And I think you even said you have actors in your videos. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I actually use almost all my actors, quote unquote, are friends and team members. They're employees of my office, because they know, when an employee or a patient comes in and they're mad because they got an EOB and they more than we estimated, and how do we handle that? They live this every day. So it's kind of like we're opening our doors to say, here, this is how our office runs. This is what we do that we think is successful. Come into our office and see us. So we don't film with real patients, because of HIPAA and all that, but we do reenact everything that we have that happens in our office on a regular basis to be more than just a webinar in front of a green screen, showing PowerPoint. It's actually interesting because, nowadays we have this much time to do something like this. It's got to stick. We have a lot of, as everyone talks about, millennials and younger staff coming in, and they get really bored really fast if we're going to put them in front of an hour-long webinar about the importance of new patients. Show me, and then there's a quiz at the end of every video to make sure that they got it, and then they can go implement it the very first, right after watching the video.
Very cool. So as far as if anyone wants to reach out and ask any other questions about the service and the videos and the way that you do things, what's the best way for them to be able to get in contact with you?
So the website is frontofficerocks.com. And you can just sign up if you're interested right on the website. It's $149 a month. And then there's an annual price. If you're looking to do it annually, you save a little bit of money. And on the top of the website, there's a little link called Ask Laura. And that comes specifically to me. So that's how I stay in contact with my clients and then any potential new clients. And I get questions from there all the time. So a lot of my clients will reach out to me. I just had one asking me about how to deal with two hygienists and they weren't getting along, and how to deal with the drama with them, or how to deal with overtime and with their hygienists. And so that's kind of my way. I feel like I can help much, more clients this way by, sending me your questions. If you have questions about the training, there's also free videos on there on the top where you can watch a couple of the videos just to get an idea of what I train on. So everything's on the website. Go to frontofficerocks.com.
Very good. Well, I appreciate your time so very much today. You've been a fantastic guest. It's been a great getting to talk to someone who I feel has got a lot of similar ideals of how the successful practices of dentistry can be ran. So it's been fantastic reaching out and becoming a friend.
Perfect. I appreciate this too. I think this is wonderful. I hope this helps some of your clients. And if you need anything else or they need anything, just reach out to me at Ask Laura.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. A special thanks to Laura for providing incredible insight on how to build and train a really great front office staff efficiently. So as you heard, your front desk staff can literally make or break your dental practice. So make sure you're doing the hard things now so you can reap the rewards later. As a bonus for today, Laura was generous enough to offer her new patient flow guide, a really great piece of information for all doctors as well as the front office to really look at and kind of use as a tool to think about how you're treating your new patient flow. So to get that bonus, simply text practice to 33444. Again, that's practice to 33444, or visit startyourdentalpractice.com/bonus if you're outside of the US. You'll also receive updates on the latest episodes of Start Your Dental Practice, helpful tips for owning and running a practice, and promotional opportunities direct to your inbox. So that's it for today's episode, but that doesn't mean that the learning and implementation have to stop there. I've created a free report called The 15 Numbers That Will Make or Break Your Dental Practice. This report has been downloaded over 1,000 times by dental professionals. So if you want your free copy of this report that's going to outline what the most important numbers are in any dental practice, and it also includes how to look at your numbers, how to set goals, has a whole slew of really important information that is the culmination of all of my experience as a dental CPA, then just go to startyourdentalpractice.com/free gift. That is startyourdentalpractice.com/free gift. And so that's it for today, Ambitious Dentist. Again, I'm Jonathan Van Horn, CPA and ABV. I'll see you next week with another world-class practice owner or consultant that will help you start your very own dental practice. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Start Your Dental Practice community. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do me a favor and go to startyourdentalpractice.com/iTunes to leave your honest feedback and review on iTunes. It's going to help me create a better experience, a better show, a better podcast for you, the ambitious dentist. Your feedback really does help, regardless if you like the show today or not. If you didn't like the show, let me know, because it's going to help me create a better show and podcast for you. Lastly, if you know of anybody that would benefit from today's episode and today's content, today's guest, please feel free to share with them on social media or through email.